Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard. Thank you so much for tuning in to African Diaspora News Channel. We're so pleased that you are with us today, family. I just came across this absolutely explosive story. Now, I'm sure many of you, some of you, I should say, probably have heard about the fact that the new president of Senegal, Mr. Faye, is not only considered to be a very popular and respected political revolutionary, if you will, but also my understanding is he also had had connections to another major opposition party person that had a lot of influence, and they were connected together, and that he received a lot of inspiration from as well, which I'm gonna get into just very briefly. But the previous president, Mr. Macky Sall, apparently was just busted based on this piece that I just read about colluding. This piece alleges with the IMF to falsify documents. Listen to a little bit of this. The heading says that in an explosive new report, the government of Senegal has shown that the International Monetary Fund, of course, that stands for IMF, systematically colluded with the former president to falsify economic data under his Western-friendly administration from 2012 to 2024. Wow, family. Listen to a little bit more here. It says that for 12 years, Macky Sall ruled Senegal as the West handpicked president. I'm going to skip around here, right? He talks about the fact that he gave like Canadian mining firm SNC Lavalin free reign to loot the country's resources. It says that he viciously enforced this neocolonial arrangement by banning the Pan-African Opposition Party, PASTEF, and jailing his leader. That's who I was referring to earlier, in part. On and on and on, right? Where it says, all this time, the International Monetary Fund gave its government a clean bill of financial health and kept the funds flowing even as it racked up unsustainable debts. It says in a democratic revolt against the IMF dictates and French neocolonialism, the Senegalese people defied the ban and elected the PASTEF candidate, Mr. Faye, to the presidency last year. His new government is now cleaning house and exposing how the IMF systematically colluded with Macky Sall to cook the books. In retaliation, the IMF has suspended its loan program in an attempt to bring the country's new leaders to heel. This has turned Senegal into a new front in the West's desperate efforts to contain the Pan-African wave spreading from the alliance of Sahel states, and just the latest in a long line of global South states to suffer from the IMF's blatant favoritism towards Washington's preferred client regimes. That's deep. Of course, there's so much more which you can look into, but I wanted to give you the basics there. This is extraordinarily important because how many of you all know that all different types of warfare that we see going on, playing out on the international stage, always has a monetary or asset or resource or mineral or something of that sort connected to it. Yes, there's some global tangible connected to it. And of course, when we look at the history of the IMF, we find out that a large stake of the IMF is actually from the United States. And I believe she remains its top dictate as relates to that. So it gives the veneer that is somehow international, when in fact it's just really a cover for how it actually functions, meaning largely by the United States of America when you look into it. This is really, really something else. Shout out to the government of Senegal, the Senegalese government that exposed this. And family, I hope we continue to stay on it and get into the details of a lot of the stuff that's going on, because how many of you all know that's a lot of time how the adversary operates in the details of stuff. And how many of you all know when you get into the weeds of stuff, baby, you typically become a problem for the powers that shouldn't be. But we're not going to back up or give in, because everything that they're messing with belongs to us. Yes, I am so happy for the government there. Of course, we know there's so many other things that's going on, family, but we got to keep our eye on the ball, and we have to highlight and promote and support those things which are good. Yes, my name is Vicki Dillard, beloved. Be sure to follow me on VickiDillard.tv. That's my own personal page, as well as be sure to subscribe to my email list at VickiPlanet.com. That's VICKI Planet.com. Of course, share the broadcast here. I can't wait to see you again.